In today's video, I'm going to define the data analysis process and break it down into 5 distinct categories. Let's go. How's it going, guys? Thank you so much for clicking on this video. I'm Dan and I'm a data analyst. Let's dive into today's video topic. Today I'm going to talk to you about the data analysis process. In this video, I will show and explain to you the process in each of the 5 categories that are within it. This is going to be a general definition in order to make it easy for anyone on any level to learn it. Now in future videos, I'm going to break down each of these categories more in detail, but for today's video, I'm just going to leave it pretty general just to get the full picture. If that's something you would like to see, consider subscribing, and when the video comes out, you'll be the first to see it. Alright, let's dive into it. Now here is a common definition for data analysis. Data analysis is the practice of working with data to glean useful information, which can then be used to make informative decisions. So basically, we start with a whole bunch of data, and we need to see what it can tell us. In order to do that, that's when the data analysis process is utilized. So here is the data analysis process broken into 5 distinct categories. You'll see this process broken down to a number of different steps and categories depending on what source you use. But for me, this is how I like to break it down. Now here are the 5 categories: identifying questions, collecting and storing data, cleaning, preparing data, analyzing data, and visualizing and communicating data. Alright, so let's look at these one at a time. Let's start with identifying questions. Now, identifying questions oftentimes is the first step. Basically, what we're trying to do is establish what we're trying to accomplish with whatever project or service that we're looking to do. Now, the reason why I say oftentimes this is the first step is because usually you're starting from the very beginning. But also, if you're a well-established organization or business that you're already used to asking the same question, this might already be defined for you. In this area, you're trying to find an answer to a very particular question. Now, once you establish whatever that question is, that's when you can start looking for the data that you're going to need to find the answer to that question. Now, there are times where you already have the data and you're looking at the data and asking the question then. But oftentimes, you are asking the question first and then going and finding that data to help support whatever answer you're trying to get. Now, part of this process could be you have your big general question that you're trying to answer. And then from that, in order to gather the data, you ask the little sub-questions as to what categories or subsections of data that you're going to need. This is the area where you establish your plan and you get started with the rest of the process. Now, the next area that we're going to look at is collecting and storing data. Now, there are a lot of ways to collect data. Most of the common ones are reviewing documents, observations, interviews, questionnaires, schedules, and surveys. Those are the big ones. And in each of those processes, you're establishing a way to obtain qualitative and quantitative data. A real simple way to remember it is qualitative is textual information and quantitative is numerical information. Now, obviously, there's a lot to both of those and then just that, but I'll save that for another video. Now, we break down collecting data into 3 different ways: first-party collection, second-party collection, and third-party collection. First-party collection is when you, as an organization or an identity, go and obtain the data yourself. Second-party is another department that works along with you that you pay or just work with that goes and obtains the data. And the third party, which is the most common, is when you are going out and purchasing data from a third-party vendor. Now, obviously, you want to try to use first and second-party data collection as often as you can. But obviously, there's a lot more data out there that third-party vendors are going to have access to that you're not going to be able to collect. So with that is the importance of data analysts in making sure that that data can be trusted and can be accurate. Now, obviously, once you collect the data, you have to store your data. And in order to do that, companies use databases, data warehouses, data lakes, cloud storage, and along with collection and storage, obviously, is security, which is very important for the safety of your company, but also the safety of your clients and the data itself. All right, so now we're going to move on to the first big category as data analysts, which is cleaning and preparing data. Now, the main objection in this step is to check for errors and inconsistencies, such as typos, duplicates, missing data, and those oddball outliers that are in there. Along with that is also validating the data. Now, usually with companies, there is what we call quality assessment, which basically they're a group that is in charge of verifying in order to see if the data is reliable and trustworthy. Going back to the previous category, one of the nice things about first and second party data collection, there often isn't as many of these inconsistencies as there are from third parties. You know what to look for and the importance of having good data. What oftentimes happens with third party data is that they're just trying to collect as much as they can. It's not so much about the organization or the cleanliness of it. It's more about just collection. So with that, this is the area that data analysts spend a lot of their time on. Before you can move on to any other category in the process, you have to be able to make sure that the data that you're using is accurate and reliable. Now, with cleaning data is what we call prepping data. Now, prepping data is basically, is there a way that you can look at the data that you have, that you now trust, and that you know is reliable, and see what from that data is going to be used to answer the question or the questions that we're looking for. So oftentimes this is getting rid of irrelevant information or organizing the data that is needed to be a little bit more
obvious.
Now, once our data has been collected, stored, cleaned, and prepared, now we can move to the big step of data analysis process, which is analysis. Now, there are 4 different ways that we can analyze data. We break it down into descriptive analytics, diagnostic analytics, predictive analytics, and prescriptive analytics. Basically, an easy way to remember that is descriptive is what happened, diagnostic is why did it happen, predictive is what will happen, and prescriptive is how can we make it happen. If you guys want more information on this category, I'll link a great article below that really goes into detail of each of these categories. Now, each of these types of analytics have their own statistical and mathematical techniques that they use in order to gather the type of analysis that they're looking for. And in order to use those mathematical techniques is when we start using our big skills. Skills like SQL, Excel, Python, R, and there's so many more. Now, the general idea of this step is to find the relations, the patterns, what connects the dots with the data to the answer to the question that we're looking for. And then the final category is visualizing and communicating data. So this is basically, we've already done the hard work, and now we need to explain and show how the data answers the question that we asked at the beginning of the process. Now, the reason why we use visualizations is because visualizations do a much better job of making it easier for people to understand the data and understand the answers to the questions that we just established. Now, there are a number of ways to show these visualizations. The most common ones are graphs and charts. And this often is done with tools like Power BI and Tableau. Once you have your visualizations established, that's when you communicate your findings to either your boss or to whoever is in charge of asking the question. So let's just do a quick summary of what we went through. Identifying questions, which is establishing the plan for the whole process. Collecting and storing data, which is going out and obtaining the right data and storing it in a way that is safe and secure for us and for our clients. Cleaning and preparing data, which allows us to have a reliable, organized, and structured data set in order to analyze. Analyzing data, which allows us to find those answers to the questions that we asked in the identifying question stage. And the final one, which is visualizing and communicating data, which is just us presenting our findings and showing what the answers are, and in a way that makes it easy for us to understand. I kind of alluded to it earlier in the video, but most of the work that data analysts work are in the cleaning and preparing stages of data. And obviously we're in charge of the analysis process and some of the visualization data. It really comes down to what level of analyst you are and in what kind of industry that you're working in. I do mostly the cleaning and preparing of the data, not as much analysis or visualization as the more senior people. That's why I'm an entry-level data analyst, and that's why I want to continue to move up the ladder, so that way I can be a part of the visualization and communication process, because I want to be the person that helps answer those questions directly. Well guys, I hope that was a good insight into the data analysis process. If this video was helpful to you in any way, please leave a like and subscribe to the channel, guys. Thank you so much.